number of pensions in a number of companies that are underfunded. Now, we've got a mechanism at the federal level that provides a certain percentage backup or guarantee for these pension funds if they fail. But we're going to have to, I think, work with these private sector companies so that right now they've become very profitable. You know, companies are making money right now. We were talking earlier about the economy and how it's moving slow. Well, corporate profits are doing just fine. They're holding on to a whole bunch of cash. They're kind of sitting on it, waiting to see if they can make more money and more opportunity, but they haven't started hiring yet. One of the things they need to be doing with some of this cash is shoring up their pension funds that are currently underfunded. Okay, it's a girl's turn. Yes.
I tied in with the jobs situation. I think it's the education system, and it seems to be in a crisis now, and people are not being educated to take these jobs that are going to be created. And I wondered what sort of plans you might have.
That's a great question. Are you in education?
Yeah.
No? Well, that's important too. Thanks for the care you give to people all day long. I'm a big fan of nurses. So, the thing that will probably most determine our success in the 21st century is going to be our education system. I'll just give you a quick statistic. A generation ago, we ranked number 1 in the number of college graduates. We've now slipped to number 12 in the number of college graduates. That's just in one generation. That is putting us at a huge competitive disadvantage. Because, look, companies these days, they can locate anywhere. You've got an internet line. You know, you can set your company up in India. You can set up your company in the Czech Republic. It doesn't really matter where you are. And so what that means is a lot of companies are going to look for where can they find the best workforce. And that we have to make sure that that is in Columbus, Ohio. We've got to make sure that that's in Toledo. We've got to make sure that that's in the United States of America. Now, we still have the best universities and the best colleges on earth, but there are a couple of problems that have come up. First of all, our education starts at K through 12, and we're not doing a good enough job at the K through 12 level making sure that all our kids are proficient in math, science, and reading and writing. And what we've done is we've set up something called the Race to the Top, where although a lot of federal money still flows to schools just based on a formula and based on need, we've taken a certain amount of money and we've said, you know what, you've got to compete for this money. And you've got to show us that you've got a plan to improve the education system, to fix low-performing schools, to improve how you train teachers, because teachers are the single most important ingredient in the education system, to collect data to show that you're improving how these kids are learning. And what's happened is that states all across the country have actually responded really well. And we've seen the majority of states change their laws to start doing this bottom-up grassroots reform of the K through 12 system. That's critical. That's number 1. Second thing that we've got to solve is that college became unaffordable for a lot of people. And Joe and Rhonda, we were just talking, we're about the same age, and we got married, I think, the same year. Our kids are about the same age, so we've kind of gone through the same stuff. And Michelle and I don't know about you guys, we didn't talk about this, but Michelle and I, we had a lot of debt when we finished school. It was really expensive. And neither of us came from wealthy families, so we just had to take out a bunch of student loans. It took us about 10 years to pay off our student loans. It was actually higher than our mortgage for most of the time. And I don't want that burden to be placed on kids right now, because a lot of them, as a consequence, maybe they decide not to go to college, or if they do, they end up getting off to a really tough start because their pay just is not going to support the amount of debt that they've got. So here's what we did. Working with Sherritt, Mary Jo, Democrats in Congress, this didn't get a lot of attention, but we actually completely transformed how the government student loan program works. Originally, what was happening was all those loans were going through banks and financial intermediaries. And even though the loans were guaranteed by the government, so the banks weren't taking any risks, they were skimming off billions of dollars in profits. And we said, well, that doesn't make any sense. If we're guaranteeing it, why don't we just give the loans directly to the students? And we'll take all that extra billions of dollars that were going to the banks as profits, and we'll give more loans. And as a consequence, what we've been able to do is to provide millions more students additional loans and make college more affordable over time. That's the second thing. Third thing we've got to do is we've got to focus on community colleges, which are a wonderful asset. Not everybody's going to go to a four-year college. And even if you go to a four-year college, you may need to go back and retrain 2 years or for a year or two, even while you're working, to keep pace with new technologies and new developments in your industry. So what we've really tried to do is to partner with community colleges, figure out how we can strengthen them, put more resources into them, and link them up to businesses who are actually hiring so that they're training people for the jobs that exist as opposed to the jobs that don't. One of the problems we've had for a lot of young people is they go to college training for a job thinking that their jobs, or thinking there's a job out there, and actually the economy has moved on. And what we need to do is tailor people's education so that they are linked up with businesses who say, we need this many engineers, or we need this kind of technical training, or and we'll help design what that training is so that when that person goes to college and they're taking out some of those loans to go to college, they know at the end of the road there's actually going to be a job available to them. Last thing, math, science, we've really got to emphasize those. That's an area where we've really fallen far behind. And our technological competitiveness is going to depend on how well we do in math and science. All right? Yes, sir.
Mr. President, my name is Joe Richard. I am a proud firefighter for the great city of Columbus.
Joe, did you used to play for Ohio State, man?
I must correct you. I was actually part of the national championship team for Eastern Kentucky University.
Oh, okay. All right. That's
I'm a
nice.
national champion, no less.
Well, there you go. Okay, but you look like we could put you on the line right now.
That's what they all say.
Anyway.
Well, Mr. President, I wanted to talk to you about a couple of things as it pertains to the safety and security of our firefighters. I want to share with you some good news as it pertains to the stimulus and the SAFER Act, for which you championed and signed off on. Locally and from the state standpoint, we had some firefighter jobs that were in jeopardy, up in the hundreds. The stimulus package, I know the state was strapped with its commitment and what it had to do with those monies. Some of those areas we weren't able to be supported in. But because of your administration signing off on the SAFER Act, which is staffing, adequate fire, and emergency response, you provided over $300 million last year, and up that to over $400 million this year, that had allowed for the jobs in Ohio to come back, the firefighters rather, on the jobs to come back and get their jobs back. In addition to that, the Fire Act has provided safer equipment for us. We don't want to sound